Welcome everybody back to Boost in Motion, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Thank you. I got a 2014 3.7. Of course, it's auto. And I want to make 500 wheel horsepower on 93. What would you be the checklist you would give for the viewers?
500 with a
Wheel
3.7?
On 93.
NA?
NA, yeah. 500 wheel, 93, of course. I mean NA, but of course for the supercharger, of course.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say.
So break it down. I'm sorry. Yeah, break it down.
You can maybe like on a dyno with like a light roller, you could probably hit like you could touch 400 horsepower NA. Obviously, we all know, like, unless you're running like force induction or some sort of nitrous, like.
But I want 500 wheel on supercharge. What would be the checklist?
Unsupercharged or on a supercharger?
On a supercharger. What would be the checklist? I'm sorry if I'm not.
It's very simple. No,
All right,
you're good.
Go ahead.
It's very simple. So you could even just run the Stillen kit as is, but I always say run Top Guns because one, it's like $800 to $1,000 cheaper than the Stillen kit. I don't know if you looked at the Top Guns kit.
Yes, I have.
It's beautiful. It comes with the air-to-air kit. It comes with everything clocked the way it's supposed to be, couplers and everything you need, and it deletes the water-to-air kit for you. You don't have to worry about like UpRev is good, but EXHUAST is way better, way more configurable. On the Stillen website, they don't tell you anything. Like, they don't tell you what fuel injectors to get. They don't tell you what fuel rails to get. They don't tell you need an upgraded fuel pump. Nothing. They're just like, here's the kit, put it on, break your car. So what's nice about Top Guns is they have all this stuff on their site. It's like this. Like, people ask for my mod list, I go ahead and send them the Top Guns link, and I'm like, you want a supercharged kit? Here you go. Like, get everything that it says here.
So
it has
you would say
map sensor, so you're not using like. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, it was saying so. So what you're saying is checklist is you would recommend Top Guns.
100%.
Second, air to air. Third, of course, the map
just
sensor.
Because I know that if you're getting a supercharger, it's not because you're trying to go to work. It's because you're trying to race, right?
I'll be fast.
So yeah, exactly. So if you're trying to be faster, you don't want to just do that once in a while. Like, you're trying to do that consistently. You want the car to be efficient, consistent, and like with the water to air kit, especially where I live in Florida, like, just the car sitting, it's hot.
Yes.
Like, why would I want boiling water running through my intake manifold? It just makes no sense. A lot of cars, they're built and meant for it. Like, they, some people throw on chiller killers and all this stuff, but why, when you can go ahead and like the Soho kit is really expensive. If you want a really nice kit, you can go ahead and do that. But with some intercooler piping, and if you just pick up an intercooler that fits, you can make your own.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. Even though shout out to Soho. Shout out to
Soho though. They make a beautiful kit. It's laying some power. Yeah. It's
all
nice,
right. So did you have to on 93? Do you have to upgrade your fuel system for 93 fuel?
On 93, I did not have to upgrade the fuel system as far as like the lines and the fuel rails. Like, I mean, 93 VQs are very happy on too. I'm not bashing 93. I just run E85 because it's more efficient for me.
Yeah.
But if you are gonna touch the fuel system at all, like, dude, a fuel pump is $100. Like, before you do anything, I'd say go and get yourself a fuel pump, because like, you don't need a tune, you don't need nothing, and it's more efficient. Like, get yourself a fuel pump.
So upgraded fuel pump on 93.
100%. I'd say like a Walboro 450.
Okay.
Right.
That's pretty common.
That's common. It's $118. Like. And this part's a little more expensive, but fuel injectors, 100%, man.
What size fuel injectors?
If you're trying to run 500, I always say go 1050s. You don't need more than like 1050s will get you all the way to like 600 horsepower. If you want like to save a little money, I mean 1050s is what Top Guns recommends as
It's pretty
well.
common.
But also, what's the lower ones?
I'm not too positive, but if you're saying 1050s, it's better to overkill on fuel anyway.
Well, 100%. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know a lot of people go 12s, or like a lot of
1300s.
people use the GTR injectors, right? So the
Those are like
GTR injectors,
550 though. Like those are like
yeah.
550.
So a lot of people use that and they get away with it. That's the one I was thinking
Ah,
of.
they
So
must
a
be
lot of
maxing
people
those
use,
things out.
yeah, exactly. That's my point. So getting those 10, even though like they're expensive kit, I think they'll each injector is almost like $80 to
You can
$100,
get it
right?
cheaper than that. I've seen them for cheaper on like on eBay. There's people who make replicas of it. So yeah,
And send me the
but
link.
you shouldn't do that though. You shouldn't do that.
No, get yourself, if you're doing a new build. Listen, that's just me, man, because that's me. But yeah, if you're doing a new build, you're new to this, get yourself just new stuff, man. Like, don't deal with like Facebook Marketplace stuff, man, unless you know how to work on cars. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, if you know what to look for, go ahead. But I know a lot of people who hit me up for used kits, and like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't even sell someone my kit. My kit's built nice, but like, man, like,
So
you don't want these problems.
So what you would say is, all right, cool. We already got the Top Guns kit. We got the
Yeah,
fuel
fuel
pump. We
pump,
got
fuel
we got the
injectors,
injectors. Okay, and you recommend the
100%.
EcoTechs. Find a tuner that can use EcoTech over uprev.
100%. 100%. EcuTech has an app. Number one, that should be the seller for you. You cannot look at uprev.
Hmm.
You can't. There's nothing you can do. You get the tune and you call it a day. You don't even know if like they tuned your car. With uprev, you can see your ignition timing. You can see your
Yeah,
AFRs. You
EcoTech
can
you can
see
see up. You
everything.
EcoTech you can see it, not uprev. You sound like you confused me there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, EcuTech you can see it. UpRev you can't see it. So
Hmm.
EcuTech, yeah, like you can see if you can yell at your tuner through EcuTech because something's not running right, and you get all your configurations through EcuTech. And what's cool, man, about tuners now is like remote tuning. Like a lot of people are saying, look for tuners in the area or whatever. No, man, you can
Remote
straight tune the
tunes.
car. Remote
Right,
tunes are
remote tune.
great. Tech too.
Let's jump off. Let's jump to the 600 wheel now. 600 wheel for the VQ on a supercharger. So what would be the additional things you would need?
So this is where you start looking into not even how much power you could pull out of your car. It's how, like, again, efficiency. Like efficiency is key. So getting that oil cooler, because now, like, hey, your car is running, it's running hot. Like
Hmm.
you're making some runs. Like you're going to high RPM, shifting through gears. Your timing's a little more aggressive now. You got to start worrying about knock. You got to start worrying about if your car is going to be reliable, if it's not going to blow up, if it's actually dialed in. 600 horsepower, people think like, oh, it's just a number. No, man, that's a territory that not a lot of people can touch.
Hmm.
They're limited to it. And like when you get to that, again, you got to know how to work on your car, man. Unless you
Hmm.
just got money to throw at a mechanic or whatever who knows what he's doing at that.
Hmm.
This is dialed in territory. So, like I said, oil cooler, make sure you're not having knock.
Okay.
This is where you actually get like your car on a dyno as well. So just getting a tune, you could go ahead and get a remote tune,
Yeah.
but getting that car on a dyno, actually getting like a good knock sensor from the roller, because
Mm.
it'll simulate the street so much better. You'll be able to like actually see where your car lies, and your tuner will actually be able to dial in everything so
Mm.
much more efficiently. The idle, everything. And this is where I start saying that you might have to start getting E85.
Okay.
93 might not cut it out for you.
Mm.
Like it will, you are going to have to push a little harder with other components of the car,
Mm.
which you might not want to do.
Okay.
And aside from just power adders and efficiency stuff, like I'm surprised we didn't jump on this topic, but people think they could just throw whatever I don't know if I could curse on here, but they could
Go
throw
ahead.
whatever the hell they want. Yeah, they could throw whatever the fuck they want at their car and their engine without worrying, like on
Whatever.
OEM wheels and tires, man.
Years. Yes.
On
225, 55
dyno,
R17.
225, yeah, on run flats. Are you like you must not care? Like, oh man, like moment of silence here for some of the people who race their Q50s, just even just OEM everything. Like, not like,
So,
dude,
but
it's a
to jump,
dangerous game, man.
but to
Cars are kind
jump,
of something to mess with. So yeah,
but
traction.
but to jump back on it, right? So, do we stick with the 450 wheelbarrow pump for E85, or should we go
100%.
to a
Yeah,
twin setup? Because there's some people who might run twin setups.
some people do, and it's really efficient because the way that it's not even efficient just for the power. But just the fuel tank, the way that it's made, you know that the fuel tank like slopes over the drive shaft, so you start to have fuel on one side and it's kind of empty on one side, and then you go
Mm.
to turn, and then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden your power cuts
Slush.
out. So what's really nice about the twin fuel setup, and what I start seeing people do is what's really cool is they'll start laying like these sponges at the bottom of their fuel tank, and then they'll run lines to their sending unit. So now,
Mm.
no matter where the fuel is in the tank, the sponge will absorb whatever is at the bottom and will still have some sort of reserve in there. So they're
Mm.
not worried about their car. And it's dangerous. You're at, I mean, for, I don't know about, 3.0s, but 3.7s, you're at 7,800 RPM and you go lean.
Oh, that's it.
That's it,
That's
boy. Game
starvation right there.
over.
Fuel
Game
pressure
over.
drop.
That's it. So yeah, twin setups. If you're doing like closed circuit drift, even drifting or drag racing too, man. Like, because I know a lot of people when they drag race, they're running on less than 3 gallons.
Mm.
So that slosh can happen really
Yeah,
quick.
when they launch it, it pushes to the back of the
Yeah,
tank.
exactly. And all of a sudden it's gone. So that twin setup's really good. But even the 450 from Walbro, like I don't really think you have to go higher than that. Like those 450 pumps are, I think they can. I think the real rating for them is like 480 what is it, LHP or LPH?
LHP. It's
Yeah,
probably something
LHP,
or LH or
480 or something.
LPH, something like
Yeah,
that.
but for those of you, it's basically the amount of fuel that it could push out per
I assume per minute.
yeah, it's like per minute or
Or hour. I don't know.
but it's a really good fuel pump for 100. I mean, or I know what a lot of people do is, and a lot of fuel pumps. What's cool is they're like universal. You just kind of have to modify the hat sometimes. Which
Yes, I
if you
seen
guys
that
are
too.
getting into the fuel pump at all, and you wonder what a hat is, just go ahead and like just try
Boom.
and get to
Right
your
there.
fuel pump. You'll find the hat. Trust me.
Right
And
there.
yeah, there's stuff you could do to modify it to make stuff fit because sometimes the pump is a little big. But I know a lot of people run the Hellcat fuel pumps.
That's it. That's another
Those run
thing
just
too.
fine. Yeah,
All right, so
the point is like what a lot of people don't get is like the concept is it's just a pump. It's just a pump for fuel. A lot of people complicate it with like, oh, it has to do this or it has to fit this or
so
oh, it's from a Hellcat. How would
so
it fit? It's just a
so
fuel
do
pump.
you think we would have to stay? Okay, so we did the 450 fuel pump. We still have the
Mhm.
CGM return line. Do we stay with the 10 is the 1050s or the 1080s, or do we go up to 1300s?
So if you're what are they 1250s or
I think it's
1300?
12 or
Yeah, I
1300s or
think they're
something like that.
1250. So Z1 just dropped some 1250s, I think, right? Like they
Mm.
just dropped some plug and play. Oh, that's what I forgot to say too.
Go ahead.
So the 1050s from Injector Dynamics, a lot of people think that they could just get the fuel injectors, pop them in, and then take the OEM harness and plug them into the fuel injectors. What's cool about Top Guns, they have it right there on the what I call the build list because that's
Mm.
what I send people to when they ask. They have a plug and play system. So you go ahead, you plug the adapter into the fuel injector.
So they send you pigtails or adapter pigtails.
Yeah, adapter pigtails, and it's perfect. It's just a plug and play system. So same thing. That's something that people have to look out for when upgrading your fuel system and stuff. Is like there's not really too many other accessory parts other than that. Like
Mm.
they'll provide you with the fuel pressure regulator and the fuel filter and everything like that if you
Mm.
decide to go like lines and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, so Z1 just dropped I think 1250s and they're plug-in. Like you don't need no adapters, nothing like
Nah,
that.
just
So
plugs right into the OEM
that's really
harness.
nice. That's cool. I wouldn't go higher than 1250s. If you want to 1300s, there's nothing bad about as far as like fuel injectors and fuel pumps.
Mm.
Like unless you're like starving the fuel pump because you're not giving it enough fuel to fill up.
Yeah.
They're the bigger the better when it comes to those things
So
because you want more efficient. You want that extra space because you don't want to put that much load on your or duty. the duty cycle. You don't want
Yeah,
too much.
duty cycle. Yeah, you
Yeah.
want to keep the duty cycle pretty low. So
Yeah.
would you say now that we got a 600 wheel 3.7 Q50 on the 85? Now the question that people probably asking is it reliable? Can this something that you can ramp on every day, or do I have to baby it? What, in your honest opinion, what do you think?
So like, what is what is reliable to you? You know,
Taking tie bomb. I mean, depends on what it is. Can
so
I?
as far as like blowing up your motor, not at all. Like
Okay.
not at all. Like these VQs are really good with how like they handle boost. But the issue is when people don't take care of their stuff, they're not like either changing their oil or they're not changing the fuel filter. They're not going and getting tunes every like 8 months to a year or so, or they're just beating on the car, not worrying about the temps or anything. Like just
Mm.
acting like no mechanical sympathy whatsoever.
Mm.
You know, like I've had issues like my axle broke or like
That was a whole nother issue.
the belt slip issue, which I figured out with the anti-slip kit, and just other than that, like
Yeah.
I mean, I
The
haven't
car's been
really,
good.
I've just been trying to make more power efficiently. That's really it. Like I've had no engine oil temp issues, nothing like that. So it's
You're
yeah,
right
like
ar you're
the
right
thing
around that do you think you're
turbo.
right around the threshold of, like, lifting the head or no?
Talking about 3.0 Ts. I'm talking about like custom turbo kits and stuff.
Mm,
Like they're not too accessible.
working too
Like
well.
try working on a turbo. Like
Okay.
good luck.
You hear
I
me
mean,
too
even
well or no?
still, see, no, I can't really hear you right now. No, I
Ah,
can
it's
hear you.
messing up still. I'm sorry. What I was saying
But
is
yeah, like so you don't got to worry about like the supercharger. You just got to change the oil on. Like as long as you're good with maintenance, like
mhm,
it's pretty well. Like the
mhm.
only thing that I have to say is what a lot of people run into is with 600 horsepower, which I think we have to touch on, is like
Go ahead.
this god awful transmission. God
Okay.
awful. Now I don't have an issue with my transmission. I don't know if a lot of people know that I have a completely stock transmission, completely stock engine, all that.
Mm,
And people think I have a fast intentions flex plate. My transmission is flash tuned, so you could actually get the transmission flash tuned. It just tightens up the transmission lines and makes for harder shifts and stuff.
okay.
But that that transmission is just not good. It's the torque, man. It's the torque. They slip, and it's not meant for like no automatic transmission unless it's like some sort of
Built
dual clutch
up
automatic. It's
transmission.
not really
Yeah.
meant for that kind of power, you know.
So,
But what was that?
Are you looking to do the VR swap soon?
Yeah, it's going in and out. I'm sorry.
Are you looking to do the VR swap soon?
Nothing.
Okay. Ah, come on. I don't know. Let me see. Let me just double check it on my end and see if my mic is working. Bear with me, everybody.
Would you like me?
My mic is
I can't hear it
working.
all. Would you like me to continue with the transmission? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Um, um, I think your mic might be messed up because my mic is picking up good on my end. Let me see. See if you could take the headphones out. Bear with me. Yeah, continue. Thumbs up. Just thumbs up.
Thumbs up on the transmission. All right,
Yeah,
we going
yeah.
into it.
I think his headphones are a little
So
bit messed
yeah,
up.
trash transmission 3.7, beautiful
Mhm.
transmission 3.0 T. That is like the
Let me know
pinnacle of
if you hear me.
transmissions.
Hmm.
Yes, 100%. We good now. What were you saying? Go ahead.
Okay, what I was saying is, oh, are you looking to do a VR swap in the future?
So,
I wonder if
yeah,
this is
this is
messing
where
up.
like I bring. So I've been contemplating, right, this transmission thing for a while, and I was back when the VR swap was even a thing. Like I
Hmm.
was thinking about doing level 10, and like God knows the road I would have went down with that level 10 transmission. I know
Yes,
people who are having nightmares. Not
problems.
to not to not to trash on the company. Like I bet they make great parts. They're just not like they're not working. Like just to say that. So, but someone, I think it was Al, Infinity Brothers.
It was
He has
Infinity
he
Brothers.
does the Crispinities. Yeah,
You hear me?
Alan. Yeah, I
Y-
hear you.
Okay, it was Infinity Brothers. He did the
Yeah,
swap.
Infinity. So yeah, he did the swap. That was one of the first ones I've seen, and I was like, oh wow, this is like the answer to the level 10 because it's level 10 transmission just kept breaking all the
Hmm.
time. So he did the VR 30 transmission swap. He had a not an air to air, but he had a boosted 3.7 as well. It was making a little 550 wheel horsepower tuned by Admin Tuning. Shout out to them. Dude, he was ripping, like shifting through gears like that. I don't know if he had a fast intentions flex plate or nothing, but no slip, no nothing. It shifted faster. And when he took down everything, I guess no one really took off the transmission from the VR and really like inspected it and put it out on social media, but everything's just 3 times bigger.
Yes.
The torque converter, the transmission itself, it's just like a 1/4 inch thicker everywhere. That's what she said. But it makes for a beefier transmission. It doesn't break. I guess that was just the answer to make it bigger.
That's
and
a fact.
when you look at the VQ transmission, you're like, what the hell? Like, it's so small and dainty, and it breaks, and like the torque converter goes to shit. You get clutch material everywhere. It's just, yeah, the 3.0T transmission was the answer, and then the drive shafts fit up just fine. Or you could go ahead and get yourself a custom single. It's the perfect time.
So would you say, I don't know if you hear me too well. So would you say, I really hope the audio comes out pretty good, but would you say that the VR trans is just pretty much the cheaper built trans?
Did you say cheaper trans?
Yeah, I don't know if you hear me too well.
Yeah, the 3.0T transmission is cheaper.
It's just cheaper than going with a level 10 or pure.
Well, dude, it's 5. Oh, then level 10? Wow, that's not even a question, man.
That's a good. I'm just saying, for supercharged guys.
You can get, for supercharged guys who are trying to keep automatic. Now, this is where I haven't answered the question on whether or not I'm trying to swap it, but the automatic answer for boosted VQ without dealing with the headache of the transmission is, as you're doing your build, go ahead, if you want, take the engine out, do whatever you want, clean it up, make it nice. I know a lot of people like to do that, but take the transmission out and swap it with a VR one, because the level 10, not only will it take forever to build, or you got to send in your core and wait for it, then you don't have a transmission. You can pick it up from a junkyard or online or eBay for like $400. Done. Like I bought a VR30 transmission back in the day, like when I had my shop, like maybe a little over 8 months ago. I have the Fast Intentions flex plate. I was ready to go. I'll tell you why I didn't bite the bullet on that. But it was $500. I drilled a slot in the side of it to put the camshaft sensor. You got to put a slot in the bell housing. You know where it is. Because the VQ one is on the opposite side near the bottom. So you got to move it towards the top. And, or opposite, the VR one was on the bottom. So you got to move it towards the top. And you do that. You get your drive shaft. You swap your TCM, which is like... People think that's difficult. No, it's like a plug. You just boop, you call it a day, you throw it in there, and you fill up your transmission, and now you got your upgraded. It's an OEM upgraded transmission. Like what better? It's the same exact one. It's bolt-in. It's not ripped apart and with remanufactured parts from a company that you don't even know who's really building it. People you don't even know who's really building it. This transmission was built by machine. It was 3D rendered. It had to go through multiple people and sign-offs and tests and all this stuff. That transmission works for a twin-turbo factory vehicle that they know is going to make torque. And I don't even think they're using that transmission anymore, which is like the interesting part. Didn't they just move to the 10-speed? Or no, it's an 8-speed automatic, right?
What do you mean? No, 9-speed automatic is going to be.
It's a 9, 9 in the new one. But yeah, so just to show that they were already knowing that this 3.0T is going to make torque. We're in this game now to make power, because they knew where they came from with the VQs. Like they never really came out with any boosted VQ or anything from factory, which like would have been beautiful. But I mean, like all VQs they know like 330. Like that's mostly what people are making. Now at the factory, you could go ahead and make your 400 horsepower and then get a tune and make your 500 or make your 450 or 480 or whatever. So they knew that they were going to have to build these transmissions for that specifically. And damn, they did well. And thank God that Nissan, kept it bolt-on, like a bolt-on application. So yeah, I started hunting for the kit, and just I realized that it was user friendly and that I could work on this thing. I understand how it works. I know what to look for.
Hmm.
And at the time, it was really cool because I found one of the first like people I looked up to as
Hmm.
far as like builds, and it
Hmm.
was Eric Flores with
Okay.
the that.
Yep.
And I saw like the trials and tribulations he went through, and like how that would probably turn off a lot of people. I was like, oh, this is like this is what I want. Like this person
Hmm.
already went through it
Through
all
it.
and everything. I
Hmm.
could ask him so many questions, and that's exactly what I did. Automatically off the bat, he told me air to air kit. It's way more efficient. Yeah, and he told me about the belt slip that I could be occurring,
Everybody
and
deals with that.
yeah. So I'm like in this. I found this dude in Taiwan who's helping me out. We'll go ahead and talk about that later, but yeah. So I found this like community of people who are trying to perfect this kit, and I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
is a perfect
Yeah.
opportunity. Like this is cool. So yeah, I felt like I could put my work and my effort in, and not only give value to these people, but just the people in general who want something to like work on and look forward to building.
So where'd you get your kit from? Taiwan?
No, so I didn't
Oh,
get my
okay.
kit from Taiwan. I got my anti-slip kit from Taiwan. So
Okay.
I have no more belt slip. I'm at 12 and a half psi with no belt slip. But that's all because of this anti-slip kit, which is like a reinforced pulley. I'll send you a picture of it, but it's like this reinforced pulley bracket that's on the top of the supercharger belt.
Okay.
So not that the Stillen kit is flawed in any sort of way, but I think because the V3 trim supercharger blower is one of their lower end blowers, they didn't really put too much time and effort into the R&D into the kit. Hence why it's like a water to air kit. They didn't spend
Yeah.
much
They
time
just
trying
threw it
to
on
figure out.
there for.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got people like Soho Motorsports who realizes that this kit has potential and that superchargers like. So the thing with VQs is they love boost, but they hate torque. Like
Oh, that's
torque
the
breaks.
transpo.
Oh yeah, well the trans, yeah. But the thing with the supercharger is people are ramping it up all the way to 600 something, 650 horsepower, and their torque is at like 450, 480. It's like
Mhm.
it's healthy. So you got this really linear power that doesn't.
Mhm.
It just feels like a freight train, and it's really healthy on the motor.
So
So
I
when
th-
you add things like an air to air and stuff, making it really efficient, like it really interests you to see where the kit can go.
so let's step back a little bit, right? Because I want people that are watching to understand. So you said that you got the V3 trim. Can you break down the different trim superchargers that you
Yeah,
can
so
adapt to the plate?
there's a couple of different. There's like the SC, like I think the older trim is called the SCI. The new trim is called the SI blower. They just the SI blower is a little more efficient. It has to do with like the bearings inside. But the Vortec just offers so many different trims of superchargers for like
Mhm.
Corvettes and Mustangs. Like they have the H trim that I'm sure you saw in Eric's.
Yes.
But the thing is like, so like you could just slap a different turbo on, and like depending on the compression ratio is
Yeah.
where your car is going to be the most efficient. It's the same thing with these supercharger blowers. If you throw too big of a supercharger blower on here, thinking that you're just going to make all the power by spinning the damn thing, a lot of these VQs like not built. Like for example, mine's a stock VQ. I
Mm.
can't spin those blowers at the idle boost that they're supposed to spin at. It won't. It's like too big of a blower.
It's
Also,
too much parasitic drain, you would say.
yeah, exactly. Also, if you end up creating that amount of boost with the blower, like the size of the blower ends up again like the torsion, the lateral torsion of like all that weight and boost, and like it ends up bending the bracket. So like my supercharger,
Oh.
yeah, so it's too heavy. It's just too big. Like they're meant for big V8s and Corvettes and stuff, and you can either build your VQ to get to accommodate those kind of blowers, but what I find perfect is the V3 blower that they offer. I mean,
Mhm.
16 pounds of boost. What more could you really ask for? 650 horsepower out of your VQ.
Yeah.
And then if you
Shield
really
block too.
did, yeah, if you did want more than that, then yeah, you get a bigger blower and you build your motor,
Of
at
course.
that point. Yeah. So
Mhm.
you can't really have one without the other. That's why I feel like that the V3 SI trim is what it's called. That's the newer version. The
Mhm.
older you could get the SCI trim. It just has to do with the bearings. Like it's a little louder too. Um, but I notice a lot of people they don't want to risk taking out their motor. They don't want to risk breaking anything. There's very
Yeah.
few people who are willing to take that risk, like Eric.
Mhm.
Throwing on different blowers and trying all these experimental things. I mean, even me, just trying to boost the VQ. So I noticed, like, as user friendly as it could be. So
So
man,
my question.
it's a wild ride. It's a
So
freight train.
is your Q50 tuned on 93 or 85, or is just
E85.
returnless system or no?
Yeah, so it's been I do have a you said return system?
Yeah, return system. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a CJM return system back to the tank, and then I run an E85 for so I have so just to get into this too, not to rant, but a lot of people get confused with like E85 and 93 and thinking that if you have to choose between the two, you have to be full 100% in like either one, and that's not true. You could obviously get what
Flex fuel.
um yeah, flex fuel kit. I'm sorry, I just lost
Yeah.
it. So yeah, you could get a flex fuel regulator, and then you'll be able to just mix your fuels if you want more E85, just pre-prep for that. The day before, fill your car up when it's empty. Just
Mm.
try to get most of the 93 out the system. But like, I've been running E85 for over a year. I have a
Mm.
flex fuel kit, and I just have one that's 10 minutes down the street. So E85 is cheaper than 93.
Yes.
Like, uh,
Usually up here it's
I
about the same price.
yeah, I drive my truck a lot. I
Mm.
have a diesel truck, and that doesn't really like chug gas too much. It has a huge ass tank, so I'm barely filling it up. So like E85 just makes sense for me because it
The
keeps
convenience.
everything clean. Yeah, and like I don't fill it up too much, so like I'm not worried about the fuel getting old and stuff. And it just it's cheap and it smells good, and
It
I'm
smells a
not
lot
worried about
better.
it. So yeah, it's nice. My car's a lot happier on E85. I've noticed that.
Mm-hmm. My next question is for the people that's watching. Why should people have a return system?
So, like a lot of, especially on boosted cars, like it's not necessary, right? So you can go ahead and run the fuel return or just a stock OEM fuel rail without a
Mm.
return system on a boosted car. It's just,
Mm.
especially on like E85, like one I'd recommend like swapping out the fuel lines because obviously OEM fuel lines aren't good for E.
Mm.
But it's like it's also like excess pressure or excess fuel that whenever you let off the throttle, it like backs up into the fuel injectors and like clogs the whole entire fuel pressure system. And it doesn't make for very consistent AFRs. And
Mm.
it's the most like, I'm all about efficiency,
Mm.
So like having like you don't have to go as far as like getting the CGM fuel rails and stuff.
Mm.
Like you could do this all on an OEM like fuel rail and
Yeah.
stuff. Just getting the OEM lines or getting rid of the OEM lines, getting like microglass braided ones, getting the return line back so that way you can kind of complete the system.
Yeah. Closed
Because I
system.
think, yeah, even Hellcats, they have no
I'm not too
return systems
positive.
OEM.
I'm not
I
too
thought they
positive.
did. I thought but yeah, there's a couple of factory cars that come with a return system, but it's a lot more efficient. Like having it just makes sense too. Like having a full closed system back to the fuel tank, especially when you're running that much fuel through your
Man,
just
fuel
makes
pressure.
yeah, it just makes more sense. And having the fuel pressure regulator too is huge. Like just dialing your car in, having consistent AFRs, because like so people build these cars and they want to try and make like the most power that they can, and not realizing that you want to make the most power, obviously, but for the longest time possible, right?
Mm.
So not like to like I know a lot of people like throw a lot of force induction or like boosted applications on their car and either not tuning them or not putting
Mm.
in like right injectors, just not doing the research.
That's the fact.
And they wonder why their car is not like I always say happy because it sounds like
You
a
want
car's mad or it sounds
you
like a
want it
car's
running.
happy.
You want it to
Yeah,
run
well, you
properly and start
want it
every day.
efficiently. So like the same thing with like the water to air kit, changing it to an air to air kit. It's the same reason why you upgrade your fuel pump, because like you're gonna burn your fuel pump trying to run that. It can't even pump that much. You go
Yes,
ahead.
gotta upgrade it.
Yeah, you got to do that, and like getting different lines. Like, sure, you could run OEM fuel lines until they evap. Fucking, you get holes and like it just
But
break
you have to
apart from the
upgrade the
85.
car. So
Yeah, and the same thing with fuel injectors. Like, you expect to like your
you're
OEM
gonna
fuel
max out your
injectors.
fuel
Make,
injectors. You gotta go up.
yeah, so
So
there's
thank you everybody for watching. Do appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. You can also check out the 2 links I posted for some of my other videos. Also on top of that, if you want to purchase some Boost in Motion merch, definitely check the link that I posted also. And finally, if you've been watching all my videos and you enjoy them, please hit the link to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you.